Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are in week 2 of the Leadership 101 class, and we are so glad that you are with us again this week. Hopefully, this will be a great encouragement for you. I hope last week was a great encouragement, and hope everyone who was here last week, you left that class, and all week you were like, you know what? I can be a leader and I can work on being a leader, and I'm going to do what I need to do because I am a leader. So, last week, that's what we talked about is being a leader. This week, we're going to talk a little bit more kind of nuts and bolts of it because to be a leader, it requires some things. And to be a leader, it kind of pushes you forward. So you've got to put some things in your life that are going to help you become a leader. And you're going to have to be a leader, which means there's going to be some requirements of you. And we're going to go over that today about talking about how to um, make sure that you are disciplining yourself and that you are setting the priorities for your life so that you can then grow, but you can also lead other people. So let's start with the thing. Welcome again back to our Leadership 101 class. We are in week 2 of our 4-week series, and we are so glad that you are with us again this week. Again, this class is called Leadership 101, Unlocking the Leader Inside You. And again, last week we talked about how everyone is leader. Now, we are using this book right here, Leadership 101 by John C. Maxwell. And this is a great book. It's a small book, but man, there's so much in it for you. And I encourage you, if you've not purchased the Leadership 101 book, it's very inexpensive to go out and purchase that book. But if you haven't been able to, that's okay. We're going to use it as a reference. We're going to pull from the meat of the book, and hopefully you will be able to learn and to be able to draw from what John has been teaching. So, quick thing as a recap, we want to talk about this class is set up into 4 weeks. We're covering the 4 whys of leadership. Week 1, why leadership? And we talked about that why we need leaderships and that we can be leaderships or that we can be leaders. Week 2 was why do we need why do we need discipline and priorities? And this is so important as a leader because if you are not disciplined and if you don't know how to set priorities, you're not going to be a very good leader. You're going to be a leader that's going to be thrown by whatever winds of change happen, but you're also not going to have that internal discipline and that internal um, character to help be a good leader to lead other people. So let's jump into it this week. Um, Oh, yep. Let's jump into it. So let's look at the quick recap from last week. Hopefully, you answered these questions for yourself this week. Um, Remember, leadership skills can be learned. To be a leader, it develops daily, not in a day. You know, you're not going to just come to this class and spend four hours, studying and doing this for 4 weeks, and all of a sudden now you're a leader. No, this is something that you're going to learn daily. I put some questions on here for you. Are there areas in your life where you're seeing leadership ability is holding you back? What is your lid number? I hope everyone this week talked this through with someone and thought about this to know your lid number and know that you can increase your lid number. What areas do you believe that you excel in leadership? What are the areas that you already have down, your strengths already? And what are the challenges that you need to make to begin your leadership journey? So all these things these are review from last week, and hopefully those were questions that you worked through last week. And if you didn't, I'm going to encourage you, make sure that you work through those questions as you progress, because that's what we're doing. We are developing leaders and we are working on ourselves. All right, let's talk about discipline and priorities and why do we need this. And John Maxwell has a great statement, quote that he believes is the first and hardest person to lead is you, because you're full of excuses. Just like this cat here. The cat's laying in bed. How many times do we do this? I can't get out of bed. The pillows have accepted me as one of their own. And if I leave now, I just might lose the trust of the pillows. We make all kinds of excuses why we can't get up out of bed in the morning. We're too tired. We're this, we're that. We went to bed late. We've become one with the pillows. You know, all those things are just excuses. Those are things that just hold us back. And we need to build in ourselves discipline, and we need to make sure that we're putting things in place that are going to move us forward, not to help us have excuses. So here's the thing I want you to look at: the discipline direction. No matter how gifted a leader is in his gifts, no matter how gifted a leader is, his gifts will never reach their maximum potential without application of self discipline. Let me read this again to you. No matter how gifted a leader is, and his gifts will never reach their maximum potential without application of self discipline. Guys, we've got to be able to put self discipline in our life. We talk about that gifts are not trump over character. You know, if you don't focus yourself, if you don't focus your discipline and work on the things that you need worked on, it doesn't matter how gifted you are, because eventually your gifts are going to only take you so far. Here's this thing I want to say, challenge your excuses, right? If you have several reasons why you can't be self-disciplined, realize that they are a bunch of excuses, all of which need to be challenged if you want to go to the next level as a leader. All of these reasons that you come up with why I can't be a leader: I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't know enough, I didn't go to school, I don't have enough time to develop myself as a leader. Well, guess what? You need to challenge those things. You need to tell those things that, you know what, these aren't going to be good reasons. These are just a bunch of excuses. Just like that cat laying in bed, it was an excuse why he wouldn't get out of bed. I want to ask you the question and challenge you. What's holding you back from getting to the next level of leadership? What are your excuses? Not reasons. What are your excuses for not growing and becoming the next level leader? Here's some things I want you to challenge yourself with. If you're struggling with this thing of excuses, or I just can't get there, I can't move myself. If you lack self-discipline, you might have the habit of eating dessert before you eat your vegetables. Now, what's that mean? Well, we all love sweet things. Everybody loves to have the sweet thing at the end, or eat that nice cake, or that nice piece of sweet candy or something, at the end of a meal, that, we'll just push our vegetables, which are the things that's actually good for us. We need to have the vegetables. We need to have those things that are good for us before we eat the dessert. So if you lack self-discipline, maybe you have a habit of eating the dessert first. You're jumping ahead before you do the hard work. Here's the hard truth. If you know you have talent, but you've seen a lot of motion, but little concrete results, you may have a lack of self-discipline. And how does this work out? You have a lot of talent. You can stir up a lot of things. You can make a lot of things happen, but you're not actually seeing concrete results. I had a guy that I worked with, and he was one of the busiest guys I ever knew. I mean, this guy worked all day and all night. He got nothing done. I never seen a guy work so hard and do absolutely nothing. He had to move a pile of dirt, and he dug and dug and dug and morked and sweated and everything else. And when I came back an hour later, the dirt was still there. The pile had not moved. He had just moved it around or stacked it up even prettier, made it whatever. He worked hard, but he didn't get any results. See, this is the problem when we lean on our talents. If we just lean on our talents, that we see a lot of motion, we see a lot of things happen, but we don't get concrete results. We get concrete results when we actually focus on self discipline to push ourselves and take those talents to the next level, to build up around those talents to support them. I want to read a definition here from Webster's on discipline and why discipline is so important. It is control gained by enforcing obedience or order or prescribed conduct or pattern of behavior, self-control, training that corrects, molds, or perfects the mental faculties or moral character. This is what discipline is. This is being self-disciplined, is that we have to train ourselves. We have to focus on ourselves, that we are building these things of self-control. We are molding our mind. We are molding our abilities and growing our talents so that we can then expand who we are as a leader. In this book, John Maxwell tells the story of a great wide receiver who plays football. Or I'm sorry, used to play football, Jerry Rice, who's one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. And they said that Jerry used to practice all the time, all year long. He was a guy with an incredible talent to catch the ball and run and score points and score touchdowns, but he never stopped training. He was always getting better and better and better. He was always practicing. He was always working so that he was at the top of his game, you know? So this idea that just because you might be great, that you might be super talented, without self-control, without disciplining yourself, that talent is only going to take you so far. So we need to make sure that we're focusing on our self-discipline, making sure we're getting ourselves going in the morning, and that we're improving ourselves. Well, here's the next thing I want to talk about today in our time is how to prioritize. Now, a lot of us don't know how to do this. Um, we figure out, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this, we got to do that. But we never take the time to actually prioritize what we're doing, so we can get lost in the details. We can get lost in the doing of things and not actually ending up with production or ending up with a goal. So I look at this and I remember a time when when I was a manager at a restaurant, and we were redoing all of the roles of everyone in the kitchen and where they stood, how they worked, where the freezers were, everything, so that it was the maximum of production, because we were adding more steps to what we were cooking. So it took longer time, but we still had to do everything quickly. So we looked at all of these things of how to prioritize everything. Where do you put this? Where do you put this? Where do you put the handle for certain things, so that the least amount of work got you the highest amount of production? Okay. And so what we did is we focused on the minor things, the most important things, because those were the things that were the most productive. And what we were using is this principle, and I have it on the screen for you to look at, and it's the Pareto principle, or otherwise known as the 20-80 principle. And some of you might know this, that 20% of the priorities give you 80% of your production. Okay, let me say that again. 20% of your priorities gives you 80% of your production. Okay, so here's the thing. You want to focus on the few things that you can focus on that's going to give you the biggest production. Okay. So, understanding this. So, you want to focus the 80% of your time, energy, money on the top 20%. Okay. And I'm going to explain this and how this works. So, if you have a leader that you're working with, or you have an individual that you're working with, and they're your top person, you're going to spend 80% of your time with them because they're giving you top production. What usually happens in businesses is your lower production people, you end up spending more time with them and they're only giving you 20%. And that's what this chart is showing you, is that if you focus 20% on the top two, okay, if you look at your thing here, if you have say 10 salesmen, you focus on the top two salesmen, they're going to give you 80% of production. And 8 of them are only going to give you 20% of production. So it's really important that we prioritize appropriately so that we're getting the mass production. Because I don't know about you, but I only have 24 hours in a day, right? We all have the same amount of time. We have 7 days a week, right? 365 days a year. But we only have 24 hours in our day. So we need to prioritize those hours because you know what? You're going to sleep. And let's say you sleep a normal sleep. You're supposed to sleep about 8 hours. Let's say, okay, you're going to sleep 8 hours. Okay, that's 1/3 of your day. So now you're going to eat. You're going to get yourself dressed. You got to take a shower. Please take a shower. Got to clean yourself up. Got to do some housework. Got to do some things around. So when you break it down to actually be productive, you're only working a half a day, if not less than that, a third of a day. So that time that you're working your third of a day, you want to prioritize that time to make sure that you're getting the most production out of your day. Okay. We're going to go over some things here real quick to help you prioritize because I think this is one of the most important things. It goes hand in hand with that self-discipline. Because once you start understanding that you have to self-discipline yourself, then when you start putting priorities in place, you can stay with those priorities because you have now disciplined yourself. All right. So let's look at this little chart here. This is the prioritizing of assignments. Okay. And you see the 4 boxes you see in the top left: low importance, high urgency. The one below that, low importance, low urgency. As you see, the left-hand side, we're talking urgency. On the other side there, high importance, high urgency. High importance, low urgency. So with this little chart that you see in front of you, you can get a nice breakdown. You get a nice simple breakdown of how to start prioritizing the things that you do and the things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. Now, here's what I want you to look at. On this chart, it says urgency on the side that goes from a low to a high, importance on the top that goes from a low and a high. So if you have something that's low importance and high urgency, is that something that you can delegate? Is that something that you can give to somebody because it is low importance? It just has to be done right now. So find someone who you can delegate that to that can handle something of high urgency that will take care of it immediately. Okay. Now, if you look below that one, low importance, low in urgency. Now, this is usually what we just call busy work. These are done by anybody. These are the people that you can, this is your 80% people. This is the ones that you are not pouring a lot of time into. This is the ones that you can just give them a task. And if it takes them, you know, a while to get it done, that's fine because it's a low importance, low urgency thing. Look on the bottom right. High importance, low urgency. Okay, now these are things that are going to have deadlines. These are daily routine things. These are things that are important, but they're low urgency. You get to them today, or if you have to, you get to them tomorrow. Or if it's a thing with a deadline, you get to them in a week or two. Okay, so that's not how you're starting your day. Your high importance, low urgency things are not the things you walk in the office, sit down, and pull out, start working on. Okay, on the upper right, you see high importance, high urgency. These are the things that you need to be focusing your time on. This is the 20% of your day because these are the things that are the 80%. Okay, these are the 80% results. So, a high importance, high urgency, those are the things that you're going to tackle first. So, here's how it comes down to you. You're going to choose or lose. All right. When you come into your work day, when you come into your walk in the office or whatever you're doing, this is what you're in front of you. These are all the tasks that are in front of you. Low importance, high urgency, low importance, low urgency, high importance, high urgency, or high importance, low urgency. Okay. Every person is an initiator or a reactor when it comes to planning. You're either an initiator or a reactor. So, what's that mean? If I walk in the door and I'm an initiator, I'm going to start putting my daily tasks, or I'm going to start putting the things that are in front of me into one of these boxes. So, I come in and I have a report that's due. It's high importancy, high urgency. Guess what? That report goes on the top list. Now, I have a coworker comes in and they have an important thing for them that they have to do. It's it's a low importance, high urgency for them. Well, guess what? I can tell them just figure it out. Go do it. Do what you need to do cuz I'm working on my thing. I'm not going to react and let them tell me how to plan my day. I've already chosen. I've chosen what I'm going to do to plan my day. And I'm going to focus on the things that are high importance and high urgency. See, leaders tend to initiate and followers tend to react. This is important. So every day as a leader, if you want to start building priority and prioritize your assignments and prioritize your day, you're going to have to come in and put everything into one of these 4 boxes and then work accordingly to that. Here's another thing. Evaluate or stalemate. A leader can give up everything except for the final responsibility. So, whatever the most important responsibility you have, that is something you cannot give up. But you know what? You can probably give up a lot of things. You can delegate low importancy, high urgency things. You can delegate low importance, low urgency things. You could even delegate high importancy, low urgency things because then you can come back around and check up on it and make sure it's doing right. But the final responsibility is on you. But everything else, start looking for someone to delegate to. Start looking for opportunities to hand off those low importance, high urgency things. Start looking for opportunities to hand off to someone a high importancy, low urgency thing. Okay? Because it is going to free up your time to focus on the important 20% that's going to give you the 80% of return. Okay? What gives us the greatest return? That is a question that you have to respond to and you have to answer it for yourself. Because what gives you the greatest return is focusing on the thing that is the high importance, high urgency, which means you cannot spend all your time focusing on the other things. You have to prioritize the thing that's going to give you the greatest return. Now, here's a question that you might have. What do you do if you're the only one that can do it? If you're the only one that can do a particular thing, well, you know what? Unfortunately, you're going to have to handle that. But here's the situation. You should be training someone else to be doing it. You should be training someone else who can step in and handle that situation so that you're not dealing with all of those situations that only you can do, especially if it's a low urgency, low importance. Okay? So you're starting to launch off as a leader. You're starting to expand. You're starting to delegate some things. Well, let's look for some possible problems that we can have here. And these are things that we need to be careful of as a leader. Okay? Here's number one: abuse. Too few employees doing too much work. That's abuse. We had situations sometimes. I was in a restaurant situation where we needed about 14 people just to operate. And in the kitchen, we needed at least 7 people in the kitchen. Now, there were times under certain situations, certain whatever, where we would run the kitchen with 6, even 5. And we were, you've heard the phrase, you're killing your employees. Yep. And that's abuse. So we need to make sure when we're delegating, when we're handing work off, that we're doing it in a way that we're not abusing those who we're delegating to, that we're not giving them too much work to handle, that we're spreading it out, and that we're being mindful. The second thing is disuse. And I'm going to tell you, probably in majority of offices, there's a disuse situation, is they have too many employees doing too little work. And this happens all the time when you have a rush situation, so you need more employees and you staff for a rush. You bring in a bunch of people to cover a rush or cover a high time, but then that's just once in a while. So you're dealing with disuse most of the time where you have people sitting around not doing it. It would be better to train your people better, to have a few less people that have better training and have better handle on what they're doing, that when the rush comes, that there's systems in place so that they are working better and can do and handle more without being abused. And the last one here is misuse. Too many employees doing the wrong thing. Now, I'm sure you see this almost in every job where you have employees that are just doing the wrong things. They're outside of their comfort zone, or they're just not being productive in where they're at. So, we need to make sure that when we're delegating, when we're handing off things, when we're giving to other people, that we're looking for these problems that can crop up and can be a bad situation for those employees. So, how are we going to start prioritizing our assignments? Well, here's the thing. Um, Priorities are interesting because they change a lot. They move around and they shift, and different things demand attention at all times. So we need to make sure that we're looking at all these priorities on a consistent basis. We're going to start with, evaluating. Every month, we're going to review the 3 R's. We're going to look at the requirements of the priority. the return, and the reward. Because if the requirements are getting too big and the return's too small and the reward's too small, well, then we need to make some changes. If the requirements are low, the return is great, and the reward is great, then we know that we've hit a sweet spot. So we need to make sure that we're always evaluating our priorities. Number two, we need to eliminate the things. What am I doing and what can be done by someone else? We need to make sure that we're eliminating things that just slow us down, just get in the way. Even with your employees, as you're handing things to them, maybe there are things that they don't have to be doing anymore because they just don't need to be done. So, you as a leader, as you're prioritizing your assignments, as you're prioritizing what you should be doing, you know, look at what you can eliminate and what you can hand off to someone else. Number three, estimate. What top projects are you doing this month and how long will they take? This is the thing that when you're looking at some things, you need to really estimate and be truthful. If you have a project that takes 3 days, 4 days, don't go, well, I can just do it in a day. You can't. All that's doing is putting stress on you. It's going to draw you away from other things that you should be doing. So you need to estimate what you're doing, what your priorities are, and make sure that you're putting proper timelines so that you can achieve what you're doing. All right, here's some danger things to our for prioritizing our assignments. These are some danger things we need to be careful of, and we need to make sure that we're on the lookout for them. The petty and the mundane can steal much of our time. We need to make sure that we're watching those times when we're just not doing anything, when our phones steals our time, when silly emails or whatever it is steals our time. So we got to make sure that the mundane and the petty don't steal all of our time. Too many are living for the wrong things. Exactly. So don't focus on those things that steal your time. Good is the enemy of best. Can I just tell you, don't settle for good. Always focus and do your best. Again, if you have a project or something that needs to take 4 or 5 days, don't settle for good and go, I can do it in 2. No, you know how long it takes to do that project. Don't settle for good. Go for the best. The next one is too many priorities can paralyze us. As a good leader, we should be able to handle about 4 to 5 priorities. And that's a lot. I mean, when you think about it, that's a lot. I would rather do 3 to 4 priorities, but you could probably do 4 to 5. If you start getting 7, 8 priorities that are just pressing on you every day, every hour, it'll just paralyze you. It becomes too much. The last one here is all true leaders have to learn how to say no to good things and yes to the best things. As a leader, it hurts sometimes to say no, but you have to say no once in a while because a lot of times you'll say yes to something that's good, that's not the best. Hold out, say yes to the best and no to the good. All right, here's the last thing here on this. Time, deadlines, and emergencies will force us to prioritize. I made the comment of someone walking in your office, and their hair's on fire and something's got to be done. If you don't prioritize your day, if you don't prioritize your assignments, someone or something will prioritize it for you. Deadlines and emergencies will force your hand. And I'm going to tell you right now, when it forces your hand, it's not going to be the best for you. Okay? Efficiency is the foundation for survival. Effectiveness is the foundation of success. I don't want you just to jump in and survive. As a leader, you need to be effective in being successful. And that's why you're taking this class, and that's why you're learning how to become a better leader. All right. On our lead tomorrow, learn today statement. Nobody on his or her deathbed ever said, I wish I spent more time on my business. When you are not effective in prioritizing, when you're not self-disciplined, you are going to spend all of your time chasing different things and putting out fires. And you're going to be spending so much time of your life not doing the important things. And you're going to be focusing on the good when you could be focusing on the best. In the end of your days, you don't want to be that person going, I wish I would have spent more time, or I would have prioritized my time better. Nobody says they want to spend more time on their business. They would rather say, I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I spent more time doing the things I love to do. As we close today, here are some of those things that I want you to start thinking about. Number one, are you organizing and prioritizing what you do on a day-to-day basis? Number two, what can you delegate? And are you training someone who can carry the load? Number three, if you had the opportunity to go back to day one of starting your job, what changes would you make? And why not start now? Number four, often it's the little things that trip us up. What things can we put in place to keep you from getting lost in the weeds? Guys, focus, answer those questions. They will push you forward and move you forward. Next week, we'll be talking about how to develop trust as a leader, which is an amazing thing, and how to cast vision. Guys, I know there was a lot of information on this. I'll also be sending out a notes so you can see and read the notes as you're watching the video. But pause it, answer those questions, really get what this is saying. To be a leader, you're going to have to discipline yourself, train yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. It happens over time. And then you're going to have to start prioritizing yourself. Use that chart because you're going to be inundated with all kinds of things. Put things in that chart. What is important? What can be delegated? What can be pushed off till later? And it will help you prioritize your day, your time, and it will help you become a more effective leader. And as you're doing these things, you are going to be building trust. And we're going to talk about that next week. And we're going to talk about how you can also cast vision, and people will help you with your vision because they trust you. All right. Thank you so much again for being with us on this. And we hope that you're getting a lot out of this. And we will see you next week for part 3 of Leadership 101. Okay. Bye-bye. God bless you.